everybody from around the globe. Thanks for coming back with us for episode 2. Looks like we finally picked up a couple followers this week, so it must not be too stoogey.
Well, either that or maybe the followers, they could just have that type of sense of humor.
Yeah, maybe. That's up to them, I guess. But hopefully this time we can actually give you some good information. Otherwise, I'm just jumping around all over the place. So today we kind of want to talk about the way we've been doing the Gondor at War scenarios. We're what are we now? 4 scenarios through?
We just completed the 4th one.
Yeah. We're skipping around a little bit. Like we're taking the approach of the actual what is it called? More of the campaign approach. They put a bunch of the scenarios in there from like the fiefdoms and things like that. We don't quite have those models yet because Games Workshop's robbing us blind again. But that's fine. That's still, the thing is, you just got to invest in Games Workshop. You buy some models, you're paying yourself some dividends.
Supporting yourself. That's what it is.
That's what you got to do. So, like I said, Gondor at War book. So let's start talking about that first scenario that we did back. Man, it's probably a couple months now, but we've definitely gone pretty far here now with painting models. That first scenario was, almost 48 models that we had to get done painting.
Correct.
So the first scenario to start out with is the defense of Osgiliath, right? Remember where basically it was set up that Faramir and his rangers and some warriors were supposed to defend Osgiliath. They were actually supposed to lose that battle. It was quite heavily favored in terms of points, the way Games Workshop set up the scenario.
Was that really the first one they were supposed to lose?
Yes, correct.
Or no, yeah. I thought it was the second one.
No, the second one is with Boromir.
No, because it went defensive Osgiliath, and then it went retaking of Osgiliath.
Yep.
The funny thing about our battle was there was no having to retake Osgiliath because I lost. Because Daniel did a horrible job trying to take over Osgiliath. So,
well, I primarily do play Minas Tirith, so I do have an advantage that when I played those scenarios, it was my natural army, so it did help. Where he has not played, how many? You haven't played many games at all with
Mordor?
No.
Yeah, no.
You played a handful.
Daniel usually plays elves.
Yeah. And then even Smitty here, he plays a lot of Isengard is what he plays, and Rohan.
Yeah, Isengard, Rohan.
Mordor's kind of a combination of that we both play.
But yeah, that first scenario, I don't know. So the problem is I'm almost 30, so my memory's starting to fade me because it was a few months ago now, but.
That was the one with the objective markers that Mordor had to destroy.
Yeah, and that was the one that you had the 3 orc captains.
Correct.
And then they had to go in there and then.
Which I found too, especially with Minas Tirith, you get the shield wall in there. That helps out a lot.
Yeah, what's that boom? That bumps up to defense 7, correct?
Yeah, because they're normally defense 5. The shield gives them defense 6. You get that shield wall, which has to be you have to have 2 other models with a shield in base contact with a model, and then you can get that defense 7. The defense 7 is hard to beat. That much I know. I don't always have good luck with the Minas Tirith with those warriors necessarily dealing the damage, but I've had really good luck of just hunkering down and just like it feels like nothing. Everything just bounces right off that shield wall. Works really well for me.
It also has the thing where when the orcs would die, they could come back. They had the horde.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
The second one didn't.
I also feel like I don't know. As much as this is a strategy game, it's also it's a luck game, right? Too, because you got the dice roll. I feel like we 1s and 2s for days. Like it was just
you get absolutely robbed.
We were robbed, and he was rolling 6s and 5s like it was nobody's business.
But at the end of the day, it's still you're having some luck with the dice, but you can do a lot of stuff to help put yourself in a position. Put yourself in a position that you're not completely, it's not like the weak model that's expecting 6s and 6s every single time just to do anything. So there are some stuff to do, but yeah, correct. At the end of the day, you just still have to get the good rolls.
Right. So that was obviously the defense of Osgiliath with the good side won. So then we went into the retaking of the Osgiliath. Now this is where you got Boromir.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, with the white flag
the white flag
the beast
Boromir.
one.
Yep. The 6 might. The whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, Boromir's a sore subject with Daniel. He's not had good luck against Boromir.
No,
I don't have good luck
that's
against
for sure.
really big heroes in general.
Yeah. Now was that scenario?
That's the one with the troll too. The one that had the troll with it.
Now with that scenario though, is that the one we should talk about? Because some of the scenarios, when you win them, depending on who wins them, you get bonuses.
Yes. So obviously the thing that we ran into here, right, was technically the good side was not technically supposed to win the first. So the second one, retaking of Osgiliath, already makes sense that the good side would win. So the evil side was already at the good side was already at a benefit, right? And then plus on top of that, they received the campaign bonus, which I believe was giving Boromir. I think it was. I don't want to say something that's not true here, so I'll get back to you on that one as we go through here. But definitely did not need that.
I
on the good side any better.
I remember that game. I was coming, and I think basically you took Boromir and Faramir and like put them in a corner.
Now Faramir is another one of the. Faramir is a hero that sometimes.
He's a little fragile sometimes.
He can be. I've had really good games with him, though. I actually, now obviously this is a little bit off topic from the campaign that we've been doing, but I actually had Faramir. We were just doing a game just to try it out, and it was Sauron. Didn't you have Sauron?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Sauron.
You had Faramir on the horse.
And I had Faramir, and I actually had Faramir. Granted, Sauron's got that special rule with the one ring where he keeps coming back. Faramir, I think it ended up being like 5 or 6 times Faramir killed Sauron, which is surprising. I wasn't expecting that, but he was actually rolling. I was rolling good that game, and Faramir somehow was actually doing the damage. But as we were talking about Boromir, I actually pulled up Boromir's. Now, he had the banner in that scenario, correct? He had the banner.
He had everything except the horse.
So the banner is giving a +1 bonus to the fight value, which helps out.
That's
with
really
all
cool
the
model.
within 6 inches, yeah. Plus, you don't get a penalty for carrying the banner normally. The Horn of Gondor is nice because when you're outnumbered 2-1, they have to enemy combatant. That's the rule. With the highest courage value, must take a courage test. If that's passed, it's fought. If it's failed, Boromir automatically wins the fight, which is nice because that just eliminates that right there. Puts a pressure on the opponent that Boromir's fighting, that they have to have a good roll before they even get the roll in order to see if they beat Boromir, who already has a fight of 6, which is great. He has 3 attacks. We were talking about the 6 might. 6 might's a lot.
That is a lot of might.
I mean, especially with me playing so much Minas Tirith, the only thing that's really cool is that you can really top that with is Aragorn, where he's getting that free might.
I think average might everyone has like 2.
Right.
I mean, some have 3, but I think average is 2.
Yeah. All lower class heroes have about.
So I mean, you're pretty much going to be using might every time you can.
Yeah. And what were those orcs? Because the main thing was it was orcs, right?
It was the Morannon orcs. They had a couple captains.
And there was a troll.
A troll.
And a troll. Yep.
I remember the troll got shot.
There were bows in that.
Yeah, I think the troll actually died because I was bringing him across, and I think the Rangers, because Rangers stayed in the corner, just shot, and the Boromir basically stayed in the corner. Right, I think I hardly even got to him and even wounded him.
That's right.
Because
those Rangers. The Rangers hit on 3s. That's pretty solid. And then you just need a 6 and a 4, I think, for the trolls. So
and there was enough of them where they were hitting pretty a lot. So
and the Morannon orcs, they do have a defense of 5.
It was regular orcs. I don't think it was.
Was it regular orcs?
I think it was a regular Mordor.
So then what are those? Are they defense 4 then?
Yeah, because they don't have armor.
Oh no, you were right. You're right.
Because the Morannon ones aren't so Gothmog.
That's right. And that's kind of why you were even more at a disadvantage because they weren't quite the elite orcs to begin with.
Oh, it's just Boromir can take on the entire thing by himself.
Correct. He's got the defense 6, which correct. Because of that 2-1 rule, Boromir's already got defense 6. He's got 6 might, 3 wounds, 3 fate. Yeah. You're taking that and you're putting that in. He's getting the +1 bonus. That's Gondor warrior models, not Boromir. I had that wrong. But you're taking that defense 6. He's got strength 4. He's got 3 attacks. He's got a lot going on. You get him into a fight, you purposely can outnumber. Even if it's 2 orcs versus him, he's already can stand on his own against his 2 orcs.
Unless Lurch shoots him with an arrow.
Yeah.
Then he
3
dies.
arrows. 3 arrows. He's got 3 wounds for the 3 arrows he took. That's the way it goes, you know? So,
well, if you're thinking about, the books, Lurch didn't even exist, so how could he shoot him with the arrows?
Actually, in the books, Boromir took out like 20 orcs before he actually died with 3 arrows in him.
That is
like he was the best fighter in the entire fellowship.
Now, do you remember? So the good side, because they won the first one, got retaking the for Gondor special rule. What is? Can you remind me what that rule is, or do you not?
Yeah, for Gondor, I got that right here.
That one increased 6 extra inches. Because of winning.
6 inches for the banners,
for
correct?
the For Gondor special rule.
Fort Gondor. What was the Fort Gondor? We got the
It's probably in that. It's probably in the Gondor War.
In the Gondor War, I can't remember what the Fort
Gondor was. I think
was.
Might be a special thing for that.
I'll have to look that up again, but. Oh yes, For Gondor was one of the items in the scenario itself. So this is where, in a turn in which Boromir or Faramir charged into combat, all Gondor warrior models that also charged within 3 inches, either of them, gained a +1 to wound during the fight phase. So that 3 inches got moved to 6 inches. So that really, I do remember that now, because a +1 to wound, that is phenomenal. So
especially when you're already talking, because if you got someone. Because you said that applied to Boromir too, right?
Boromir and Faramir.
Okay, so if you got Boromir charging in, and he's already a strength 4 going against, what'd you say the defense of the regular orcs? You thought it was?
I think it's like 4.
4?
Yeah.
So you got a strength 4 against a defense 4, you're already at 4. So with that, you're putting a Boromir's wounding on a 3+. And if you think about that too, I don't know how many, if you guys, if any of you played with Aragorn, Aragorn's already got that he's wounding on a 4. If you use a 2-handed weapon,
you have to use a special sword for that.
If you use Andrew on Aragorn, with that will give him actually 3+. When you think about it, you now have taken Boromir and you've upgraded him to, if you were to take Aragorn using the 2-handed rule, that's incredible. It's hard to get over that.
You know what really happens is Denethor gets really happy when Boromir starts doing that. I could see him out there on the shelf cheering him on as he was going. So
I don't think I even had Denethor at that point. I got him now. He's painted up and everything, but I don't even know if I had him to cheer us on.
There's a meme I saw of that. It says, "Here's my son and his friend."
His friend. That's good. So that was the first. So obviously the retaking of Osgiliath. Good one again, right?
Yep.
So now we go on to our third scenario here throughout Gondor War, and ambush and Athelia.
Yep.
Now, how awesome! This is a really fun one because we got 2 Mumiks just trampling through the forest, and you got Faramir trying to take over. The main case of this one was 2 Mumiks. They need to get to Mordor. Faramir feels like they're the most at risk for hurting Gondor down the path, and decides to go after these Mumiks. And if 2 get off the board, good wins. If 1 get off the board, it's a draw, and none, evil wins, right? And
if none get off the board, good wins.
Yes, none.
Yeah, you had it right. Just switch around.
Yep. No, that's right.
But the evil army, the Haradrim, we're trying to get off the board.
Haradrim, we're trying to get off the board. And what, Daniel? What did you do in that first turn of that game?
And we actually had, just so you know, Daniel played. So normally I play, as I said, I play Minas Tirith. I do also my evil army, if you want to call it that. Would be the Haradrim, because the Serpent Horde.
That's Nick's.
That would be my. We pretty much all of us have a good and an evil army. We do have we have Moria that we kind of share, but so I did have. I gave Daniel the opportunity to play with Gondor because I generally am playing with that, and the Haradrim are one of the newer ones. I just got the Mumiks. I had one a few months ago that I painted, and I just got one online, and I actually have a third one that I'm working on. I got to get painted, but I wanted to play with that. I did have somebody here. He always liked the Mumiks and everything too. So what we ended up doing was him and I split up the Mumik, and Daniel took the Rangers. And was that your first time playing with the Rangers, you think, or second?
I have played. I don't think I've played with them before.
So possibly the first. Have you ever played even with Minas Tirith?
I may have played a little bit with them.
How did you like the whole? Because tell us a little bit about what was your strategy going into it, plus the bonuses that you were getting throughout that game.
you start off and you get to shoot before priority.
And that's what I was saying. Tell us also about how that first turn went and how the whole game really could have been changed at that point.
Yeah, I shot the first. You get to shoot before the priority, which actually helps because you can actually put some wounds on the Moomix, which I actually put. I think I put 2 wounds on one, which I was just surprised.
Yeah, because the one I was controlling, you definitely put.
Yeah, I put 2 wounds on it right away, and so that helped pretty good. And then I kind of stayed off on the sides. I didn't really move in, and then I tried to kind of move up a little bit and move out, but they moved so far, and I kept trying to shoot. But then they also get a stalk unseen. Yes. For the first 3 rounds, so if you're obscured a little bit by the terrain, then they can't shoot you out of the howdah, which saved some of the guys.
So taking those first 2 wounds, one of the Moomix took 2 wounds in that first round, and what actually happened on that courage roll that you had to take for?
Because you had to try.
Yeah.
Now, did you say? I believe we talked about it a little bit, but so. If you get wounded on the Moomix, you have to take a courage test, and we just had the Beastmaster, not the Mahad on that one.
Correct. These 2 are just regular 2 war Moomix. Yep.
So you take the courage test, and if that Beastmaster, which is courage, is 5, so you're trying to get to 10 on your courage roll, but I failed the courage test. Now, I believe potentially Daniel could have ran, because this was right when the game started, he potentially could have ran that Moomix off the map, or at the very least, you could have ran it into terrain.
I could have ran it into the other.
Right, they could have ran it into each other. Yeah, you could have ran it off the map the opposite direction.
At the very first turn, having that happen, that would have been that would have completely changed it, because at this point we hadn't moved our Moomix at all. But so I failed it. I rolled a 3, needing at least a 5, because that's what the courage of the Beastmaster was. So I ended up, which maybe Daniel shouldn't have said anything, but he said that it was the will. That I could spend my will to bring it up to a 5, and I only had, I believe, 2 will on that.
I didn't want to get accused of cheating.
Well, it wouldn't have been cheating. You could have just kept it quiet.
That's one of the strategy things. Mr. Stooge over here was I could have just been quiet, but you can use your will to change that.
I'm just a good sport.
Yeah, you're a good sport.
But so I rolled that and I passed, which spent all my will, but at least I needed to pass that courage test. And at that point, I wasn't expecting, because even for him to wound the Moomix, it was with his bows. It was he had to first hit, which was a 3, right?
I had to hit it with the 3
plus,
and then I had to get a 6 and then a 4.
Yeah, so that's a lot of good rolls right there. I know in my experiences, it always seems like I never can get those rolls, but he was getting quite a few of them that game. So
I haven't used a few of them. Farmers might.
He got one Moomix down to 5 wounds, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the other Moomix was down to 8 at the end.
Which actually wasn't bad for just shooting. Yeah. I should have moved him up, because then I could have tied him up.
Yeah.
And I tried to damn right, and he failed his stupid courage test.
And we did have, even with how they said Daniel played all of Gondor by himself, but Smitty and I switched. So even Smitty and I, we had different strategies. I pretty much just took my Moomix and went straight through, kept shooting everything I could shoot, and I didn't really even do anything. I had Spearman on the board. I didn't really do anything with the Spearman. Just kind of made a wall so he couldn't directly charge my Moomix, and even with Smitty, because your strategy was a little bit different. What were you doing with your Spearman?
So my Spearman, I found a nice little choke point that we put in the map. We were kind of using a couple hills on the side along with trees.
And the map was laid out just so everyone can visualize it. It was essentially you have in the middle of the map like a little path or
an alleyway. There's an alleyway with forest on both sides.
Which is just big enough for the 2 Moomix to get through, and then everything else is forest and terrain and hills. Anyway.
That's right. So I found a nice little choke point where I could cut off some of his rangers and actually got into base contact with some of them, and kind of they weren't able to shoot at the Moomix. So that's my Moomix. So I was one of the Moomix. Nick was the other one. My Moomix did pretty good. I mean, 8 wounds compared to 5 wounds. I had it going on for a little bit there, but definitely choking off some of those rangers definitely helped with my Moomix taking any undue arrows. So. So Evil won. Evil finally got a victory on the board.
That's because I was controlling Evil.
That's right.
Keeping record, Daniel's 0-3 at this point. I am 3-0.
3, yes, correct. So going on to the next scenario is actually rating of the Pelarger. I don't know. Is that what it's called? I mean, it's got to be in the book somewhere. But so we actually skipped this one because Games Workshop already has enough of our money this year. So maybe we'll get to that one shortly. So the nice thing, like I said, about these scenarios is that they build off of each other, but not everyone builds off of the next one. So this one will definitely be one that we get back to that we have not gotten to a scenario yet that this scenario affects.
It has a lot to do with like the bonuses that go into this one. Didn't have a bonus, so it doesn't directly affect a later scenario.
Correct. So we jump forward to the fall of Osgiliath, right? So this is where Gothmog comes in and tries to take over Osgiliath once and for all, right? And Faramir is trying to escape with his rangers and some of the warriors of Gondor off the map, right? So this one is kind of set up where the evils kind of got more of an advantage. There's more people, more warriors. They keep coming back after they die. Nick, what happened?
I can tell you who won, and it wasn't you or Daniel.
Yeah. So this one's split up. Two sides of evil. So the evil get like the left side and the right side. So I took the left. Daniel took the right. Nick's in the middle trying to get off the board. And sure enough, he did it. He built an alley and went right through us.
Correct. So I had to get off the west side. So I'm focused on getting off the one side. I knew that if Faramir got off the edge of the board, it ended up being just a draw. So I set up, it was everything within 6 inches of the center of the board, essentially is where I had to start. And I saw Smitty laid out his orcs, and I think he still did the right thing. He had a pretty long line. It was a thin line, but at the same time, he's trying to cover the ground, just trying to tie me up. Right. So I had the advantage, and Faramir had a bonus on that one, because that was one of the bonuses from the previous games, correct? Where he got the free heroic action.
The free heroic action, yeah.
Which was that was the biggest thing in the game, because I kept every time if I didn't get priority, I would call heroic move, which helped me out. Which I also got. He would call heroic moves. He used his might to try and counterbalance that, but I kept winning the rolls as far as he would get it. So I just basically went through. I knew his line was thin, so I figured if I could just punch a little bit of hole, which I did. I went towards Smitty, punched a hole. I was able to then take. Once I got that hole punched through there, I was actually able to take a lot of my Minister Warriors, and I was able to punch them through that hole and make a wall. And I was just trying to make an alleyway to get Faramir through there. And as I'm doing that, I had what was it, Madrill, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Madrill. I had him swing around with some of my rangers. I kept about 5 rangers in the middle, and because Daniel was on the other side, and I knew he was, because you were heroic marching every turn,
yeah,
right?
I was heroic marching, yeah.
Until he had no might left, just to get across the board to tie me up in the back, trying to catch me, and
Pretty much outran him to my side.
I did.
I really needed Gothmog needed to get up there because he could have used a free. I could have called the free moves to counter for free because I just one rule. Master of battle.
There's 2 really, really, really good things that Nick did that really stand out to me, right? So when he got into base content, he made this alleyway. He had this planned out. He made this alleyway exactly for Faramir to get him off the board, right? So he went into base contact with all my warriors, sucked up their control zones, and he just blasted through there. And it was a heck of a move. Now that wasn't the one that won it for him though. What won it for him was he obviously got the free heroic action every single time because he won the retaking of Osgiliath, and so he called a heroic move. And Madrill was really close. Was Madrill, right?
Yep.
Madrill was very, very close. And then he called a heroic march on top of that. And they all did the with me movement, correct?
Yep.
And basically marched right off the board. There was nothing we could do about it. And this is another one of those games where as much strategy is involved, there's still a bunch of luck. I couldn't hit a dice to save my life. I think we killed 2 people, 3 people.
It was at like the very last turn you had like 3 kills.
It was garbage time.
I wasn't necessarily winning all the fights I was having, but he just couldn't kill me. But even with this game, that was the most that we've ever seen. Daniel, how many? So what we'll do is whenever we have the fight values tied, you're supposed to do a roll off or whatever, So 1, 2, 3 would be the evil, 4, 5, and 6 would be good. So we usually when we're doing this, even though Daniel's still technically on Smitty's team, Smitty fights with the ones that he has, and I fight obviously with my army. But then we'll let Daniel do it because he doesn't have any current models in the fight, so just let him roll. Not that we're really trying to cheat, but how many times did you have to do that tiebreaker roll?
Quite a bit, and actually I think it ended up going your way probably like 75% of the time.
There was a good 3 times that we called heroic moves at the same time, and a good one.
I was rolling off for that, and all the fights were all tied. They did the same number, the same fight values.
Same fight values for the Moran.
That's why elves are better.
I want to say
you always gotta be pretty much always gonna win.
Yeah. I want to say there was probably. It could have been even 10 tiebreaker rolls that he had. There was a lot.
I would say.
So, yeah. But in the end, I got him off.
Yeah. So right now, our 4 scenarios we play, we are currently 3 to the good side and 1 to the evil side. So the evil side's struggling pretty good here. The next one that we got coming up here is going to be the White Rider. And now this one we pretty much have all the models for. We need one more Ring Nazgul on Fell Beast, correct? So we'll get that painted up here. I got it ordered already. And we'll get it painted up here in the next 2 weeks for our next podcast so that we can hopefully go over that battle by then. We'll see.
I can lose again.
We'll see. Daniel can lose again. We'll see what side he decides to pick. I feel like he should probably pick the good side this time.
I might have to sit out on this one to give somebody else a chance.
Oh my goodness, this guy.
4-0 over there, you know. It is. How do you like the fact that you can keep going through the, like obviously you said that you don't have the model ready yet, but overall, what's your impression of being able to go down these? Because I know there's some people I'm sure that they'd look at it and they think, I don't have all these models,
right?
And it's intimidating with that fact that I can't play any of these scenarios. But as you started talking, like, overall, how's that worked out with not having all the models to begin with?
Right. The nice thing about Gondor at War, right, is if you bought the Pelennor Field starter set, you have all the Moranin you already need, and then you can also it's fairly, I feel like we proxy, like what you got to do is you got to proxy whenever you can, really, because we didn't have all the Herodrum spearmen, but I mean we use Moranin orcs for some of the spearmen, and I feel like that played pretty good to a narrative play scenario where, I mean, the Moranin and the Herodrum basically fought with each other, right? But it wasn't necessarily.
It's not like a Gondor out there fighting with the Herodrum.
The other thing is Gondor's pretty easy to find stuff. Like there's Gondor models everywhere.
Right. Correct.
Like the Rangers are easy to find, and the regular.
And if you don't have like a named hero, you can always paint something up to look like more of a hero, maybe a slight conversion. You have different base color or something like that.
Yeah. We still got to get some sort of Facebook or Instagram page, but if we get that, I can try. So we've all done some bit of converting, because even with the Rangers, I did convert, because I had a Faramir, I sold him. Why I sold him, I don't know, because I ended up buying him again anyway. And same thing with Madril, that I converted a couple of Rangers. They don't look necessarily great because I'm not the best at converting, but at least on the table, you can easily tell that there's a difference.
I actually converted a elf, a Rivendell Knights, that one of the extra banners I put on one of my ground guys.
Oh,
so
nice.
he has,
very cool.
has a banner because I couldn't find any of the banners.
Yeah. So what's coming up then for at least the next scenario?
Good. So coming up is going to be the White Rider, right? So this is going to be when Faramir and his knights are fleeing Osgiliath. And Shadowfax and Gandalf come out, the blinding light, the Nazgul flying all over, and we pretty much have everybody except for one less Ringwraith on Fell Beast. We have like I said, proxy, and right now we have 2 Witch Kings on Fell Beast. So we'll probably just proxy those as regular Ringwraiths, Nazgul on Fell Beast for this next one. Yeah. So. So tune them in next time for the report on Faramir's, the White Rider.
And we aren't, and just so it may not necessarily the next episode be this, because we do try to get the models, and then we do try to play a couple scenarios at a time. We are also running a battle company, so we'll see. We may update you on that one, but. We're going to be getting to this because we're working through, now that we have a lot of the models, we definitely want to work through the scenarios here and get those, because they're a lot of fun to be able to work through them.
Right. It is a lot of fun to get them as accurate as possible to the Games Workshop books that they provide. It just makes it so much more thematically better, and it just looks super cool if you can get the correct scenario for each, the correct scenery for each scenario. just makes it that much more fun. So look forward for you guys to tune in next time, and we'll go from there. Have fun gaming.
Happy gaming.